Insurance companies often offer little or no compensation to accident victims, even when their clients are at fault. An aggressive team of personal injury lawyers can make a difference and completely change all that. Welcome, everyone, to our 25th Philadelphia Accident and Injury Google Hangout. My name is Rene, and we'll be talking with Rene, Philadelphia's car accident lawyer, about a particular car accident case where the insurance company refused to accept responsibility, but Rene and his team of car accident attorneys were successful with the jury, which awarded his client $2.7 million. Hi, Rene. How are things in Philadelphia today?
Hi, Renee. Things are well. It's a cloudy, overcast day, but it's still warm, and everything seems to be going good. It's a nice Friday afternoon. Looking forward to a nice, long weekend.
Well, it was a short week, and I feel the same way as you do. I'm really interested in this case. It sounds intriguing. Maybe you can tell us about your 35-year-old client that had a major car accident at an intersection, and what did the defendant claim, and did they offer any compensation?
Well, you know, as with any case, there's two parts to the case. There's the liability part, and that's who caused the accident, who's responsible. And, you know, in some instances, both people can be responsible for causing an accident. And then once you decide the liability, then you have the damages. What are the injuries? What are they worth? And what's a fair resolution? On the liability side, it was an intersectional accident. So the defendant really took the position that they were not responsible, that our client ran the light, our client caused the accident, and I really thought that was a foolish position for them to take. But, you know, in this day and age, you do have insurance companies that fight vigorously these claims, and that's really why you need to prepare and prepare and prepare and gather all the evidence that you can so that when you do have your day in court, you are able to prove and establish exactly what happened. Now, in this case, we had a 35-year-old gentleman, and he really was a nice guy, and I found him to be very credible. I thought he was honest, I thought he was sincere, and I thought what he had to say was very straightforward. And we tried before trial to really convince the insurance company of our position and explain to them why we felt that we had the better case going in and that we were entitled to compensation. But unfortunately, they just wouldn't budge. And they finally came up with an offer of $5,000. And that was just such an insulting offer that we just made a decision that we were not going to let the insurance company push us around. And we prepared our case, we prepared our client, and we got ready to go to trial.
Maybe you can tell our audience, you know, some of the injuries, you know, we hear car accident crashes, but I think he sustained some pretty serious injuries, if I remember.
You know, he did sustain injuries. He sustained what's called herniated discs. And herniated discs are, you know, either in your neck or they're in your back. And basically what happens is there's a tearing or a rip of the actual disc. And the disc itself is almost like, compare it to a jelly donut. And the outside layer is almost like rubber, and the inside is like jelly, like you would find with a jelly donut. And what happens was the exterior, that rubberish part, got ripped or torn. And so some of that jelly starts to ooze out. And it causes the disc to compress or shrink. And it makes you vulnerable to pain because all the nerves are coming out of the spinal column there, going into your arms and your legs. And so you start to get pain because it impinges or it pinches on the nerves and causes you to have a lot of pain. And that's exactly what was happening in this instance. The disc was herniated. We were able to establish that it was herniated as a result of the accident, and we were able to establish that there was impingement and it was affecting his nerves. And that's a pretty significant finding for someone as young as 35 years old because, you know, at 35 years old, you have really your whole life ahead of you. You've got, you know, your personal life, you've got your work life. You've got to really, you know, be strong in order to carry out and do all the responsibilities and, all the things that life holds for you, whether it's raising children or doing things around the house or lifting and carrying things at work. And unfortunately, this gentleman just really had difficulty after this accident performing a lot of the duties that we normally would take for granted.
Maybe you can tell us the approach you took in order to convince the jury that your client was right, deserved justice and compensation.
Well, as I said earlier, I always try to take the high road. I believe that you put out the facts, you make, your arguments, and, the truth will come out. And we really believed in our client. And as I said, he was very credible. And I thought he made an excellent witness and an excellent presentation. And we really did a good job cross-examining the defendant and establishing that what he really had to say and his explanation of how the accident happened just really didn't add up. It really wasn't accurate. He really wasn't being truthful. And so, even though I think we had demanded maybe $400,000 going into the trial, the jury, really looked at the life impact on the client. And that's really important, the life impact. Is this permanent? Will the client suffer for the remainder of their life expectancy? How will it impact their ability to live a normal life? And so what we do typically in these cases is we get medical experts to testify about the injury, because we really want to explain to the jury what happened, because you could look at someone and they look perfectly fine, but a good physician comes to court and is able to really testify. And we used models to show what a disc looks like, how it was ripped or torn, where it was located in our client's spine. And so the jury really then does understand exactly what happened. And then we brought in what we refer to as a vocational expert. And the vocational expert is someone who takes a detailed history from the client of all of their work experiences, their educational background. And then they look at books and records and statistics that are put out from the government, and then they can formulate opinions as to what impact, if any, this type of injury is going to have on someone's future ability to make a living. And so in this particular case, because our client was only 35 years old, we were really able to put up some significant numbers to show that as a result of this accident and the injuries, the client was really going to have a significantly diminished earning capacity. And the jury understood exactly what we were explaining, and through detailed analysis, we were able to establish to a reasonable degree exactly how much money our client was going to lose. And so as a result of the medical aspects of the case and the physical and the vocational losses that he sustained, the jury concluded that the claim was worth $2.7 million.
Well, that's tremendous, and that money will help him for the rest of his life in dealing with his injuries and his loss of income and his inability to earn probably money like he could if he wasn't injured. That's tremendous. You went above and beyond. You did your job like you're supposed to. That's wonderful.
Well, that's what we do. I've been doing this for over 30 years, and our reputation is that we take cases to court if we can't get a reasonable settlement from the insurance company. We're always looking to settle the case because anytime you go to court, there are inherent risks on both sides. But if the insurance company is just not being reasonable and recognizing the extent of our client's injuries and the life impact, so many injuries, a fracture, a tear in your shoulder or your knee or your ankle, all of these injuries can have long-term repercussions. And once you really sit and talk with the client and find out what the quality of life was like before the accident, and then you go over again what their quality of life is like after the accident, that's when you really start to see the life impact. And let's face it, everyone really needs to make a living and support themselves and their family. And when you're not able to do that, and you you just can't work like you did before, that's really very serious. And that has long-term consequences. And that's when we really go to bat for the client and do everything we can to get them the money they deserve.
Well, the more I speak with you, Ran, in these Hangouts, the more I start to understand that insurance companies are not your friend, especially if they're on the other side, even on your side. So hopefully the audience, is learning as they start listening to these Hangouts. If you have a case in Pennsylvania or New Jersey related to any accident or injury, please call Rand Spear, the accident lawyer. You can reach him at 888-373-4-LAW. That's the number 4 and the word law. Or you can visit the firm at www.randspear.com. Again, Ran, it's always a pleasure to hear you share your experience knowledge with us.
Thanks, Rene. Good talking to you. Have a great weekend.
I will. And just before we go, I want to thank everyone for participating today. Invite you all to come back next week when we'll be discussing a new and important topic. And remember, any information contained in this video or podcast should not be construed as legal advice. Content is for information purposes only. Nothing contained herein shall constitute an attorney-client relationship. To everyone, that's all for now, and goodbye.